Let's turn this off. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, housekeeping. You want to support this channel for the free? Please hit that like button, put that thumbs up, and also subscribe. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed, and also my pop culture chats. If you want to support this channel monetarily, my Cash App is flowing down at the bottom, or you can become a member. Memberships are open, and I do accept super chats as needed if you want to ask some questions about going on. Y'all, let me tell you something. I watched these first 3 episodes, and let me just tell y'all, I am hooked. When I tell y'all I am hooked, I am hooked. I am in for a pound. What is it? In for a penny, out for a pound? Is that the phrase? Regardless, I'm in. Listen, there's so much stuff going on. So we have 3 episodes we're gonna review. The way I do these, when I have too many episodes, I like to just talk about what I feel about the movie. And then instead of trying to do episode by episode by episode, just kind of give you a summary about everything that's going on. And so we will be reviewing Fight Night, the $1 Million Heist. We're going to be reviewing episode 1 or round 1, The Ballad of Chicken Man. Round 2, The Fight Night. Round 3, Black Vegas. Now, let me tell y'all, this show was visually stimulating. I love the clothes. I love the hair. I love the time. Was this 1970? Excuse me. Just the way that the men and women dressed. I loved all of that. Had all of the just feeling their style. I absolutely loved it. So these people, oh my goodness, let's see. I love the grittiness. I love the earthiness of the colors. I love the night. I don't know what it is. It's just this show was visually pleasing to me. Just visually pleasing. The suits, the style. Who was the stylist on this thing? Because the suits, the clothes. This young lady named Maxine, her style. Whoo, honey. I was just in love. So let's get into it. So what is this movie about? What is the series about? So this series is a fictional. It's based loosely on a true story. There was a heist, but this is just a fictitious interpretation of what happened. And so it's taking us. It started off with Chicken Man, who is played by Kevin Hart. It starts off with him and Frank Moten, who is played by Samuel L. Jackson. He is like shooting at him and asking him, did you do this? What did you do? And then there's a shot that rang out. And then we are taken back in time 2 weeks before that particular incident. We're taken back in time to figure out what's going on. So what's going on? Muhammad Ali. So the true story about this whole thing is that Muhammad Ali was in Atlanta, and he was fighting Jerry. Who was he fighting, child? He was fighting. This was his first fight back since when he decided that he was not going to fight the Viet Cong. He said the Viet Cong didn't do anything to him, which was true. I thought they had his name in here. Jerry Corey. I think that's what his name was. I just can't see his name. I'm on IMDb. And because, it'll be like a snake that bit me because I want to look for it so bad. But I know the last name was Quarry. I think the first name is Jerry, but we'll just, we won't we won't make it a big deal to figure out what that name was. But this is Ali's fight back, and you see in the Times you have people who were pissed off at him because he didn't go fight in Vietnam. He said he wasn't going to fight, and because he decided that he wasn't going to fight, they had suspended him from boxing. And so then the war, the conflict, Vietnam War at that time, it was a conflict. It had subsided. People were coming back home, and it was like 3 years, and then they allowed for him to fight. So this was his first fight back. Now, the people in the South apparently were not very pleased to see him in the city of Atlanta. Even it looked like even from state senators and the governor and all these people, they were not excited about Muhammad Ali coming back. And then we have Don Cheadle's character, Hudson, Detective Hudson. Now, Detective Hudson's character, he was the first Black police officer in the city of Atlanta. And he was hired back in the day where he wasn't allowed to arrest white people. So he could see white people doing bad. He'd have to call for a white officer to be able to come and arrest a white citizen. So I think he got his I think he was hired back in the 60s or maybe the 50s. I'm not really sure, but he had been on the force a good while. That he's now a detective. But he talks about how he first got on, and he went to Vietnam, and I guess he didn't like the fact that Muhammad Ali dodged it as well. And at that time, because Muhammad Ali had joined the Nation of Islam, they were very wary about the Nation of Islam and everything, because it was like Christianity and Islam, and they were making it seem like there was something wrong with bad or empowering, and they didn't like that. And then you're also coming off the heels in 1970 of Dr. King being killed and all those little different things. So you have to understand the times. You have to understand the times as well, because it was wild times, as you can see. And things that they were doing back in the 70s, even going through the 80s, it just makes me know, oh, wow, how times have changed. Because I was looking at the fact that the cigarette vending machine, because I hadn't seen a cigarette vending machine since the 90s, the 1990s, because during that time, they had a lot of laws and stuff like that was changing. They started in the 80s, and then they really started changing in the 90s, because it used to be back in the day, like if you were a smoker, you could smoke throughout the whole building. You could smoke at your desk. You could smoke, you could smoke throughout the building. And then they made designated smoking areas. They made buildings non-smoking buildings with certain designated smoking areas. So you could go outside to smoke. But if you were a smoker and wanted to smoke inside, they had a smoker's break room that you can go to, where the air ventilated out, and that would be the place that you could smoke. And I just got so tickled. I was like, wow. And smoking was one of those things that people did regularly. It wasn't anything, because at one particular point in time, there was no age limit as who could buy cigarettes. I think that started in the 90s as well. Y'all fact check me if you want to, but I'm just going back on memory, because I remember being a little girl and being able to go buy cigarettes because my mother smoked at the time and my aunt smoked at the time. And I remember being a little girl, and they would send you to the store to get their cigarettes, and nobody batted an eye. Now I think you have to be 19, 20 to be able to buy a pack of cigarettes, when back in the day, anybody could buy cigarettes. They had alcohol still was at 21, but cigarettes, anybody could buy the cigarettes. But anyway, so this story is based around the Muhammad Ali fight, and based around the fact that you had all the Black gangsters that were in like from New York, Chicago, the Midwest, all of these places coming into Atlanta to see this Ali fight. That was the big thing back in the day. So they all congregated to Atlanta to see the big fight. And then you see here Kevin Hart's character, Chicken Man. He's in Atlanta, so he ran the numbers. Now here we going way back. Playing the numbers, that was within, I know it was in the Black community, and it may have been in the white community as well, is that what they would do is that you would have the numbers man, Chicken Head, go around and collect the money and stuff like that, because everybody wanted to see if their number would hit. So I think they had like 3 and 4. You had a 3 pick and a 4 pick. And so you would put money down on which the number was going to, what was going to hit. They had a certain amount of money, how much they were going to put on that number. They would do that. The people would draw the number and everything. And remember, y'all, this was word of mouth. This was word of mouth. So chicken man would write down what your number was, how much you paid, and they would calculate how much money you would win and all this other stuff. And all of this was word of mouth. And this was this was an honor system. So you would get your money when they came back around the next day or whenever. He'd have to come to you to give you the money because he knew who you were because he wrote it down. And again, it was community. Everybody was paying from the high class booze you were playing to the low class. And then I think when Atlanta got the lot, when Georgia got the lottery or started participating in the lottery, that just knocked out the numbers game for people. People weren't paying the numbers like that. And I don't even know if they still play them or not, because I just I remember that was a big thing. I don't know if it's big in the state. I don't know if it's still, because people still have gambling and people still have a whole lot of stuff going on. I don't know if the numbers are as big as they were since the lottery has taken place, because you have to think about it. As much money as the lottery makes every year. Can you imagine how much money they were making doing doing these numbers and having the person it was just a whole thing. It was a whole lot of stuff Black folks were just doing for themselves, entertainment wise and all that other stuff that they were doing. And now you see that a lot of those things that they were doing for themselves, whether it was legal, whether it was illegal, but there was a system. There was an honor system. There was a whole lot of stuff. And like I said, the drug game wasn't as brutal at this time it was when the 80s started to pour around in. So when the late 70s, early 80s started pouring around in, the drug game wasn't as brutal as it became. And so everything was pretty much civilized. You had a lot of people who were able to make a lot of money, even though it was of the illegal status, but they were able to make a lot of money and their families have a thing. And that was one of the things that I looked at. You had these people, and even though you had people doing all these nefarious things, you see people, they had their families. Even though, and one of these things about me, and I'm not saying that it was right, but one of the things about old school men back in the day, they had families. They made sure that picturesque of their family looked decent and upright to the community. And if they had side chicks and side stuff like that, everybody played their part. Everybody wasn't out here trying to scream that I am a side chick. Everybody played their part. Everybody kept quiet. Everybody, if the wife didn't know, but the wife usually knew, but she just decided not to say anything because she didn't want to upset her spot. So again, then there's this heist, because it was decided by a group of thieves, is what I'm gonna call them, that they were gonna rob, because Chicken Man decided that he wanted to be the big man. He wanted Frank Moulton to notice him, and he was going to be the big man in Atlanta. So he decided that he was going to do this party, this after fight party. He was going to host this after fight party and have all the people come to his house, or come to this spot for this after fight party. And he was going to host it because he wants to be Frank Moulton's man in Atlanta. Now, if you're familiar with Frank Moulton, I think Denzel Washington played his character in a movie. So, and he was a big gangster, and I think it was this fight when the feds and everybody started to notice who he was, because they wanted to know who this man came into the fight with this fur coat on and all kinds of stuff, real flashy, like, and everybody was talking to him and that, and they didn't know who he was. And I think this was the fight that brought him on the radar of the feds and stuff like that. I think, because I didn't watch that Denzel movie, but I do remember they had this movie. But let's continue. So Chicken Man, I call him Chicken Head. See, and I may go back and forth between Chicken Head and Chicken Man, so apologize. It's just that I know more people named Chicken Head than I do know Chicken Man. So let's just leave that alone. He's done all this stuff to coordinate this fight party and everything, getting people everything that they need, doing all of this stuff because, again, he wants to be the big gangster in Atlanta, and he wants Frank Moulton to recognize him. Now he has a friend that he knew in jail and used to run dope with back in the day. Silky done moved, left Atlanta, moved up to New York, and he became a good like a lieutenant for Frank Moulton, and so he was his go between. Now there is this man, and I want to say his name was Ernest, but he got back on a plane once. He was the one that decided to create this heist, and you had uh Lena and Lena's little brother. I can't think of what the man's with the big hair and stuff like that, and that played Don Cornelius when that movie came out. You had all those people got together because they were going to rob all of these people of their money, their jewels, if they had any dope on them, whatever it was, they were going to rob them. They knew and apparently this guy who coordinated the stuff, I think he works with Frank. And so he coordinated this heist, and then he booked back on back up to New York because he wants to be able to have an alibi to say that he wasn't there. He created this thing and he wasn't there. So there was only a couple of people privy to the fact that these high level gangsters were going to be there. And the people who participated in this heist, they were going to get $20,000 a piece. Now, $20,000 back in 1970 is about equivalent to maybe like 60, maybe 30, 40, 60, $60. Y'all economists, let me know, how does it flare off inflation? So for someone like that, that's a lot of money for them to be able to get around, because you think about it, back then you could buy a new car for $4,000, a brand new car with all the accoutrements in it. So they had decided to do this heist. So they case the place, they do all this, and let me go back to, you have Taraji P. Henson is playing I don't know if she's Chicken Man's not, because you could tell that they were business partners, and I guess they were lovers as well. She was his, on the side, they run the game. She was doing the pole back in the day, and she runs the girls, the whorehouses and stuff like that. So she gets all of that stuff together. And Chicken Man was doing all the other stuff. So we just see the evolution of all of this. You see the evolution of Chicken Man trying to get in Frank Moulton's good graces. You also see Terrence Howard. Now Terrence Howard is he's the gangster that runs, I guess, for Frank over in Chicago, and they have enforcers. And baby, Chicken Man picks old Frank Moulton up from the airport. They get off on their let me see, because I thought that this picture was, they get off on this private plane, and baby, everybody looking smooth as silk. I don't know what happened to Terrence Howard's character, why he's on the cane, they didn't say. But baby, this man right here, this man standing right next to Frank, he'll kill you dead. He'll wake up dead. I mean, it doesn't play. So when Kevin Hart's character picked them up, the first place they went to somebody's house, and baby, next thing you know, they was hit that man's tail in his own home, beat him down to the ground, and even took his fingers, child. It's a mess. These are folks you just don't play with. You just don't play with. Excuse me. Excuse me, y'all. But I wanted to show this picture. Look at the style. Look at the style. Look at the ladies. Look at how they're dressed. They're dressed to the 9s and the 10s. Even on Terrence Howard's character, even though all them colors to me don't coordinate, he still looks good in his suit. You have Frank looking extra good in his suit, and then his right hand man. So everybody looks upstanding. They're wearing their suits and they're upstanding. They look so good. They really truly look good. I just love it. So let's go to the side story, is the Muhammad Ali story. And you see the detective having issues with Muhammad Ali, even to the point that he called that man Mr. Clay. Now, this is important too, because I think one of the things we as Black people understand and know, that everybody's name is important, and how you pronounce your name and how you say your name is important. And one of the things that used to happen, and no, back in the day, with when he changed his name to Muhammad Ali, no one would respect the fact that his name was Muhammad Ali. They wanted to call him Cassius Clay, Mr. Clay, Cassius, boy, whatever. They never would want to call him Muhammad Ali. And I remember it was it was a newscaster. I can't think of what his name was, but he was the first one to decide that, okay, if he says his name is Muhammad Ali, we're gonna call him Muhammad Ali. And it's a thing about your name, because a lot of people, and I know and I will say a lot of Caucasian people will act like they cannot pronounce your name. You would give them their name and tell them how to pronounce it, and they'll swear up and down that they don't know how to pronounce it, but they can pronounce Slobodan Milosevic. They can say Benjamin Netanyahu. Excuse me, y'all. My allergies. You see it on my face. My face is rashed up, so I had to put some cream on it to keep it on. So that's why it's glowing. So it's got so much look oily, because I usually have dry skin. But they can say all of these names, Milo Mikjanovic and all of these names. They can pronounce those names. But when they ask you to pronounce your name, if your name is Shaquille, they can't seem to pronounce that name. If your name is Tyrell, Tyvon, whatever it is, they want to act like they don't know how to pronounce these names. And I do see some of us as Black people, and particularly if we have names like, like mine, like Pamela or Jane or Lisa or something like that, you'll hear a lot of people getting all upset about someone's name who is Taiwan, Shakila, Tyrell, Typhon, all of these different names. We want to act like we don't know how to pronounce somebody's name, but we want to be disrespectful to us about pronouncing our names, but we don't want to be, but it's always funny that all of these names with all of these consonants and one vowel, everybody can all of a sudden pronounce these names. They can say these names, and everybody's supposed to be okay with that. But all of that to say is, when Don Cheadle's character, Detective Hudson, he was being very disrespectful by calling him Mr. Clay. And he knew that, and Muhammad Ali kind of checked him on that. And it ended up, as that storyline went along, they began to have a level of respect, because what was happening is that Don Cheadle, his character was assigned to be his bodyguard, Muhammad Ali's bodyguard, or detail, security detail, him and of other few police officers. And he didn't want to do that, but he ended up doing it. And baby, it was a mess, because you had the people that loved and adored Muhammad Ali. And one thing I remember about Muhammad Ali is that he always felt like he felt safe around his people. And so he would love to go to where his people were. But it would always be the white folks that would always give him problems. And as you saw, as they were going into the fight and everything like that, you had one group that was, oh, Muhammad Ali, and they were clapping and they wanted to touch on him, and they wanted to show him love and everything like that. And then you had that other group that was trying to beat him up, and you had people trying to fight him before he got into the ring and tried to fight and all this other stuff. So y'all, within this movie, there's so many layers of stuff. You have the people that coordinated the heist. You have Chicken Man, him trying to come up in the world a little bit higher than what he is in the world. You see him having his visual family, or his family, his wife, and she's big in the church and stuff like that. You see him have with his relationship with Taraji P. Henson's character. I think her name was Vivian. His relationship with there. You see Frank Moten come down, and all the gangsters and stuff like that, and how they move and how they operate, and everybody knows that these men are hard gangsters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different moving parts in here, and I love the fact that it wasn't so much stuff that we couldn't keep up. I do like some of the cameos, because I saw let me see, what was that? It looked like I saw Lori Harvey in here playing Lola Falana. Yeah, I saw Lori Harvey in there. I said, look at Will Packer pulling everybody in here. You had Clifton Power as Mushmouth. He was playing Mushmouth so good. I didn't realize that was Clifton Powell. You had a lot of people in here. To me, power hitters in here: the Samuel L. Jackson, the Terrence Howards, the Don Cheadles, the Kevin Harts, the Taraji P. Hensons. You had this level of actors, and then you had look like some of the newer actors. The guy who played Muhammad Ali, he was someone new. Emerson. Emerson was the man who coordinated the heist. That's his name. Um, you see newer actors like Emerson, the child actors, you see them in there. It was just, to me, like a Chloe Bailey was in here. She played Lena. I didn't even recognize it was her until the third episode, when she was at outside with Sam, without outside with Frank, because he wanted some information. He wanted some answers in regards to who set this up. And when I saw, I was like, that looked like Chloe, because it was something about her wig, and I was like, oh, she got her dreads up under there. That's Chloe. Anyway, child. So as I was saying, so we're all going through this whole thing with, again, Kevin Hart's character, Chicken Man, trying to establish himself with Frank Moulton. So he was doing a lot of different things. Frank Moulton liked Lola Falana, which was played by Lori Harvey. So Chicken Man went and found, he heard that she was looking for a certain type of cigarette. He goes and gets that certain type of cigarette. They go in. He goes to Lola Falana's room. He gets Lola Falana to come down and talk to Frank. So Frank is like, kind of looking to him. Silky, who is Chickenhead's friend from childhood, he's kind of telling him, you need to calm down, because you're gonna mess around, and the one thing you don't want to do is have Frank to mistrust you. But Chickenhead is doing everything he needs to do to try to get in with Frank. We see that in Chickenhead's marriage, he had promised the church that he was going to redo the roof, but he took that money that he had promised to redo the roof to put in for this party. So he don't have the roof money. So his wife had to smooth it out with the pastor. So you see the dichotomy that you've got him doing. He's active in his church. He's doing all this other stuff, but it's coming from the elite, ill-gotten gains, so to speak. It's coming from the ill-gotten gains. And this was also around the time, because this is after the assassinations, particularly of Martin Luther King, and the Civil Rights Act was signed. There was some concessions, and one of the concessions that they had was, because you remember with civil rights, a lot of this were queued up by pastors. You had Martin Luther King and all these different pastors, and they were their congregation, and they were talking about politics and all this other stuff. But then, because they were going to sign the Civil Rights Bill, they ended up signing this thing. I think it's 503. Is that what it is? I can't remember, y'all. Where the churches would be exempt from paying taxes, but they couldn't talk about politics. They couldn't talk about politics and stuff. And so that, to me, was one of the things that kind of undermined or undercut the momentum of the civil rights movement, because now people who were congregating in church and going to church and getting information from the pastors in church, they could no longer speak about politics or anything like that if they wanted to keep that exempt status, because with that exempt status, they didn't have to pay taxes. So since they didn't have to pay taxes, they had all this money freed up for them to do all these different things. You see this now, because now you have all of these ministries that are money based, coming in. You'll have pastors, if you sow a seed of this amount of money and stuff like that, it'll go to the church, but you're buying the pastor's $1 million home, you're buying their 60 and 70 million dollar planes, you're buying all this money is coming in, because again, they don't have to pay taxes on it, so they can rack that money up, they can invest it, they can do all the stuff that they need to be able to do with that money, because they don't have to, the church body doesn't have to pay taxes on it. So you have a lot of churches that are wealthy because of that. But anyway, that I went off on a tangent. So Going back in episode 1, again, it was basically talking about Chicken Man and how he was trying so hard to get in with Frank Moulton. Also, we see the people coordinating the fight. We also see the police officer, uh, played by Don Cheadle, having to go through all the different things and jump through all these little different hoops, because he's been put on this security detail. So we get into the episode 2 with round 2. We're talking about the fight. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that they had placed Muhammad Ali out in the country, because there was the first black senator since Reconstruction. They had placed him out in that senator's cabin, out in the woods, wherever it was. And then some country good old boys, they saw Muhammad Ali rehearsing on the docks. So they come over there. He's having to go through all of that, all of this stuff that he has to do. His life is really not safe until he gets up to that fight. So he gets into the fight, and we find out that Chicken Man and the cop have a history. Now, what happened is 3 years prior, uh Chicken Man got arrested with some white guys for selling drugs. And so usually the cops never did come to court, usually wouldn't come to court. So a lot of those cases were thrown out, and he thought that this case was going to get thrown out. It ended up that the cop that arrested him, which was Detective Hudson, is the one that arrested Chicken Man, which led Chicken Man to have to go to jail for 3 years, 2 or 3 years, on the charge of possession with intent to sell. So we find out that they have a history. Then we get into the heist. So the guys go to the house. They're robbing people. They're so slick. They have people standing up dancing in the window, so it doesn't look like they have robbed them. So the people that they've robbed, they stripped them of their clothes and they put them down in the basement. So they have a few people up at the front door. They're dancing. So as people were coming in, they were getting robbed, they were getting stripped, they were going down to the basement. Now, remember when I told you about Chloe? Her character was in on the heist. She was the inside person. And so she set herself up to be the one of the prostitutes that were going to work the house, work the rooms and stuff like that. And so she kept close to Maxine and Vivian. And every time that they tried to make a way to be able to escape, she finds a way to thwart it. And Maxine, now baby, that she was my girl. Maxine figured out that that's what was going on, and she almost whooped that girl's tail. She almost beat her tail down, because she kind of figured out, because and then they humiliated Vivian, because Vivian used to dance and all this other stuff. They had stripped everybody down, and I can't think, what is the name of that guy who was one of the oh, I can't see his name, but he was the lighter skinned one. He wanted her to strip naked and dance in front of the and he wanted her to strip all her clothes, because she said, you work for a titty bar, you gonna show them titties. And she went to moving and dancing, and Chicken Man tried to stop it. He got bopped, and he stood there and he tried to humiliate her. And I thought that was just wow. I was upset with that, but then I understood that that's what it was, and I was glad that they didn't have to carry that scene out to where we had to see her stripped down naked and anything like that. I was glad, but you can tell how, even though I like the clothing and all that other stuff, it was still gritty back in the day. It was real gritty back in the day. And see, they didn't have all this digital stuff or anything like that. It was when you all say it's on site, it's on site. These folks didn't play about all that. They communicated on telephones and letters, and people sending messages and stuff like that. So once that person saw you, and if he was upset or she was upset with you, that's was really truly what on site was. But anyway, I just want, like I said, I don't want to try to go scene by scene or anything like that, because it's 3 episodes and that's just really too much. I just want to kind of do the overview of what's going on. They end up getting out of the Frank and his goon squad. They all got together. They untied their arms and stuff like that, and they were able to get loose and get the people out of there. One of the guys who was on the Rob squad, is what I'm gonna call it, he ended up getting killed, and Chloe's character ended up getting bopped in the head. And so she was taken by Frank Moten. And he grabbed her because they were telling him she was one of the inside person. So he wanted to know who was robbing him. He wanted to know if Chicken Man was the one that was the mastermind behind the robbery. And I don't know if he got the answer to her or not, because we heard a gunshot, and then that was the end of the third episode. But we did see Muhammad Ali get the fight. He won the fight. He was able to get out of the town. So Detective Hudson no longer has to do that. But now Detective Hudson is the detective on the case of, one of the, 80 people were robbed. You've got one of the robbers killed at the site. So now he's trying to do the police work to see what happened and what's going on. So that's going to be, I guess, episode 4. I'm not sure how many episodes we're going to have of this, but I am excited that this to me was a very good, because I'm telling y'all, I didn't think I was going to like it. I ain't even gonna hold you. I didn't think I was gonna like it. So it looks like it's 8 episodes. So we have 3, and then they're gonna give us 1 a week until they end. And I hope they don't do us like they did Bel Air and pop in 4 and 5 episodes. Because like I told you, I think that they did Bel Air the way that they did Bel Air, because they were trying to get to this show. And even though this show is good, this show could have come on Thursday night, and Bel Air could have come on Wednesday night, as it was before. Let's see who's here. Let's see. Oh, I've got somebody. What is it? Marcos from, and you're calling from Twitch. Hello. Let's see. QT1. Been listening while I'm driving. Oh, did he really? He's what, 90 something years old, and they've been talking about him passing for the past 2 weeks. So I'll have to look that up to see what's going on. But yeah, yeah, I see that he did pass away. Okay, because I know he was like 90 something years old. Yeah, 1931 to 2024. Oh, wow. Oh, Darth Vader. That's where all of us know him and love him from. Because I know he had a theater background, so he was always in theater and stuff like that. But I know him from being the voice of Darth Vader. I have this series of it's the first 3 episodes or any indication, and I feel like I haven't given you all justice as far as going over the thing, but the first 3 episodes are good. I like I said, I like the clothing. It's visually pleasing. The acting to me is, it's not over the top. We've got consummate actors. Everybody is doing a good job with acting. The plot, even though there's 2 or 3 subplots going on in the first 3 episodes, they're easy to follow, and it's engaging. Like I said, it's there's good acting. There's, the comedy coming through here is not over the top. It's not flaky. I am truly enjoying Fight Night. I'm going to review episode 4 because that's going to be better for me, because I can review 1 episode at a time. But I did just want to just kind of come on here and give like my overview about how I'm feeling about this particular episodes. There's some killing in here. These are gangster. These are real gangsters. These are gangsters that are killing on principle, not just killing people because someone said that they didn't like my dreads or you're ugly. These people, and killing is wrong. But I'm just saying, you're going to see gangsters as I knew to gangsters to be, get out here, and they're going to be doing some stuff, asking you some questions. And if you can't tell them the answers they need to know quick, fast, in a hurry, you're going to be up there electric sliding with Jesus. I'm just telling you. It is. You think so? Because I heard that they had a decent budget. And I don't know exactly how much they got paid, but I heard they had a decent budget. But like I said, some actors are willing to take a pay cut if they know that they're going to get into that the roles that they have are meeting, and I'm telling you that I feel like all the roles that each one of these actors have taken, they're doing damn good jobs with them. I'm really impressed with Don Cheadle. I'm enjoying his role. I'm also enjoying Taraji's role. I think Kevin Hart is doing a good job. I do like the fact that he's dialed down like the comedy part, and he's really taking this role seriously. I feel for Chicken Man. I feel for the fact that people are trying to set him up as the person that coordinated this heist. I feel bad for him, but I'm looking to see how he gets out of it. I don't know if he gets out of it or not. I don't know if Sam pops him, if Frank pops him down, pops him or not. But we hear a gunshot, so I don't know if he kills him or not. But I am looking forward to see how he got to where he is. All right, people. What do y'all think about this show? Put it down in the comments. Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. So y'all, we've got 8 episodes. We've got round 8. And they have not on IMDb put the name of the episode. So we're going into round 4. And I don't know why it's saying round 4, it drops on Friday, and everything else is dropping on Thursday. That's interesting. But y'all, yes, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Rest in peace. So please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, we'll get together next week and we'll talk about Fight Night. Bye-bye.